back. We're going to be covering what's called entrepreneurial options. This is a pretty interesting subject if you are going to go into business or if you're in business looking for um, some options, how to set it up, protect your assets. I will say the state of Washington has a terrific small business guide. You can Google it. Put the link right here, but it very helpful. And in fact, let me share the screen with you for that, and I'll show you what's interesting with that. So we have okay. So I'm sharing the screen. So they have how to plan your business. You should put a lot of thought into that in the business plan because that's going to be the basis for your getting any sort of capital support and show you if you're serious and if you've done your homework. Opening a business, they have various things, if you're going to buy business, hire employees, all this wonderfulness. Close your business. Oh, start a business. They have, you got to, I think one of the first things you have to make sure uh, you have some product or service that there's a demand for. If you're going to use a name, you got to make sure the name is available. Search U.S. Patent and Trademark Office so the name isn't taken. You got to get registered with the state at least, and normally the city or where you reside, licensing and permits, all this stuff, business structure. That's what we're going to be focused on here, and that it includes things like, um, oh, business structure. You'll see here, sole proprietor, general partnership, limited liability company, corporation. That's all summarized here and good to look at. Most people go are sole proprietors or LLCs, limited liability companies, but they cover very, very useful guide. Um, and they, when you get your federal tax ID number, earlier the better. Um, business name, as I indicated, you got to be careful about that. Make sure it's not used. You can go to U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and search if somebody's already trademarked the name. So that's all important. Um, very early on licenses and permits. So if you're a professional, you have to get obviously your professional license, permits. You got to worry about if you're going to have a brick and mortar store, where it's going to be and if it's appropriately zoned. So strongly advise you to do that. I will say one thing about the business plan. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about franchises, and franchises are attractive, but you got to do your due diligence. They're attractive because there's already a plan and there's already a product that apparently you feel is worth your investment. They cost, depending on the franchise, can cost a lot of money to get in, and then you are subject to the control of the franchisor. So I'll talk about that momentarily. Let's go back to my outline screen. So here, and we'll go here. So, I want to make sure I have that correctly. So we got this. Yeah, okay. There we go. All right. So back to the outline. All right. So like the other subjects, I look at the life cycle of a business. Sole proprietor, as indicated in the business small business guide. Biggest benefit there is you are well, I should say easily to operate because it's just you. The downside is that you are going to be personally liable, so there's no protection. General partnerships normally horrible. because of this concept of joint and several liability, where if you have two or more people in a partnership and somebody screws up, the victim can sue everybody or choose you, even though you didn't do the screw up. Limited liability partnerships, these are a little bit better because you have uh, partners that come in and have their liabilities limited to it. Their investment, same thing with limited partnerships. LLCs combines the best of all worlds, but you may not need one. Easy to register. Go again to the Start Your Business Small Business Guide. That'll explain it all to you. Corporations. Okay. First of all, most people aren't going to form a corporation. There are some um, types that might be useful, but generally you'll see corporations designated as domestic. That means they're domiciled in that particular state. Foreign, they're from another state trying to do business in this state. Alien, they're from another country. Public and private. So some corporations are public. You can invest in them. You've heard of initial public offerings, and corporations on the stock exchanges. Private are those that are not, uh, public. So nonprofit, uh, self-explanatory. Closed corporations are those with a limited number of stockholders. Now, stockholders are the investors, and the corporations run by the officers and directors. S corporations, these are also typically smaller corporations. You would choose this form if you have employees and wanted to save on payroll taxes. Professional corporations, self-explanatory, and benefit corporations. Some states have those, kind of like nonprofits. One issue that comes up in the limited liability world is piercing the so-called corporate veil, but it's any limited liability shield, and that occurs when the officers and directors or stockholders, I guess, use the limited liability form of business as their own piggy bank. They commingle funds, and it's referred to as the alter ego theory. Registering with state and local governments, I've talked about that. That's also mentioned in the small business guide. Okay, franchises. Couple things. Attractive in the sense that there's already a business plan. There's various types, distributorships, chain style businesses, manufacturing, processing. It's subject to federal and state laws, primarily to protect potential franchisees from getting screwed. You have to be very careful about the franchise contract. Like any other contract, you have to look at how it can be terminated, etc. My basic advice, if you're going to look at a franchise, is do your due diligence. Uh, Search the franchise on the internet. Talk to people that have gotten out. Very costly to buy into a franchise. You have to follow all the rules of the franchisor. You can't feed off the brand. You got to get your supplies from whoever the franchisor says you got to get your supplies from, that type of thing. Anyway, that that's the end of entrepreneurial options.